Good morning, or as I would say in Athens, kalimera. It is my honor to introduce Alexander Melirrytos, or Melirrytos as we know them, to all of you. Alex and Eleni are our missionaries at the Omonia Church of Christ in Athens, Greece. And my wife Beth and I have had the opportunity to visit them a couple of times. First one in 2019, the most recent one in the summer with their summer retreat. And I would like to tell you all how important, how good of a work they do with the refugees in Athens. And it is hard to be a refugee. We talked about this in the retreat. It's people that have lost everything. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about only material things. I mean, they've lost family members, they've lost careers, they've lost hope. You know? And that is one of the worst things that a human being can have. You know, live with no hope. We are blessed that we know where all the hope comes from, right? And Alex and Eleni have been the hands and feet of Jesus, and through them and through their hard work, many have been brought to know the gospel and follow the gospel and know that there's hope and that there is love and there's a better way of doing things. They remind me a lot of what Matthew 25, 35, and 36 said. You know, for I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit. I know they do this for God's glory. They don't do this for their own glory. And I think it is an honor and it is a privilege for us to be partners with them, because they do this in a selfless way and in a way that it's great for the world and great for the kingdom. And Alex, please come up front, and we are very glad to have you here, and we are looking forward to listening to your message.
Good morning, church. Kali Mera, Kali from calligraphy, Kali, beautiful, good looking, graph. Mera means day, Kali Mera. Eleni and I feel great to be back home. That's where we belong. Nashvillians since 1995, and your beloved Greeks since 1990, when we graduated from West Monroe, the White's Ferry Road School of Bible Studies, and we met here. Jesus brought our footsteps here, and we received love beyond measure. And through the years, and again this time, we want to thank the elders, the leadership of this great family, in a very special way for providing everything, and also John and Jill Parker, who have stood lovingly by our side all these years since day one. As you may know, I have been a man of different cultures, as I was a ship's captain on ocean-going vessels, both passenger ships in the Caribbean and tankers all around the world, having been blessed to visit 86 countries in the world. So to me, it's one place where languages are different, recipes are different, the currency is different, but they all have the same hope and fear and aspirations and tears, and they all need the same Savior. I can see it very well. The lesson today God put in my heart to bring is kind of evangelistic. We have been in the church, but maybe in this audience there can be someone who has not yet decided to give his or her life to Jesus, so there we come. We will talk about culture, human culture and gospel culture. And in a way, we will see by Jesus saying, I'm the way and the truth and the life, because if there's no way, there is chaos, and we know who chaos belongs to. And if there's absence of truth, then there is what we call lie. There's no lie, there's absence of truth, and it belongs to the evil one. And then, in the very same way, where there is no life, we call it, the way we call it, it belongs to the Father of this, but we belong to Him who gives truth and way and life. Garmin, GPS, late model. It gets the work done, or it doesn't. I'm from the old crop of captains where I don't need this. I can have the sight reduction tables, my sextant, a good chrono, and I can see God's marvels and make my position anywhere in the world within accuracy of 1 nautical mile without this. Because this is modified in case of a war, knock on wood. It can show my ship being up on Everest. I have the satellite and I can do what I want with the satellite. During one of our latest, most recent visits to the US, we landed at the city, and full of joy, I got my GPS to find our way to the place we would go to, and I hooked this, and then I got this, only to find that the car was a new model and didn't have this. What do you do? What do you do? For a minute, I looked to my wife and I said, it looks like we'll spend the night in the car. Huge city. How do we go there? So the point is that all these things, the man-made, depend on parameters. The GPS can be as good as bad as its accuracy is, and if the cable works. So no matter if you have all the tools and you don't have one thing, you're gone. Guess what? Well, we found the USB cable. I thought of getting with me, but you know the USB is 5 volts, the lighter is 12 volts, the screen is dim, but that's okay, we didn't get lost. They depend on parameters, all man-made things. Now, let's talk about the word culture. The word culture derives from a French term, culture, which in turn comes from the Latin word colere, C-O-L-E-R-E, which means, yes, you got it, to cultivate, to foster growth. In Greek, we have the word morphosis, which is the word for education, and we use it as culture. He is a cultured person, educated. But during the Renaissance period, the word culture took a twist, and it became the word civilization as being one of the parameters of culture. But we found that the concept of culture is volatile. All men have found that the concept of culture is a volatile thing due to different factors that affect this. Religion, fashion, politics, the way politically correct or incorrect how we feel. And the concept of culture includes artificial creations of a country that project an idea when we think of the Parthenon, either in Athens or the Centennial Park. I mean, it brings you thinking of democracy or something. Or when you say the pyramids, you think of someone, Pharaoh, you know of something. Or Picasso paintings. But what the problem is that the culture, in a way, includes the word Babel. Genesis 11. We know where it led. Their enthusiasm waned. The bricklaying went great. The tar was okay, no mortar. They had a temporary success, and it grew and grew and grew and grew, and we feel like we're strong, and look at that, look what we have done. And guess what? The language got wrong. And they couldn't go on with their work. God confused their language. So what about if I continue my lesson in Greek? How do you like it? You will say it's all Greek to me. We, the Greeks, say it's all Chinese to me. I have a bit of an issue with saying, I'm not comfortable with this, I'm not comfortable with that. Alexander, who cares what you're comfortable with? It's an objective way to pause and reflect on life. Sooner or later, no matter what you want, is destined to happen from above. By saying, I don't like or I like, you don't change anything. Your culture will fade. Now, the Greek hospitality, we know about it, and it works to a point, but I believe this is what we call human culture. It's a culture that divides. This is how we do it over here. In the south, we do it this way. Well, yeah, in Bulgaria, they do it that way. And the Greeks, when they agree to something being said, Homer says they nod their head down, like bow down, yes, sir. Or they raise their head, no, I disagree. It's cultural. But the answer comes from above. On the day of Pentecost, there are people from all over the known world, the eastern basin of the Mediterranean, Cyrene, the Gaddafi land, Syria, Libya, and Egypt and Crete, and you name it. And they don't use the same language anymore, and then they listen to Peter, who says something and they understand it, each one in their own language, and they get united. What kind of culture is this? This is the gospel culture. It's the culture that unites. It unites you, it unites the Greek, it unites the Russian, the American, the Chinese, everyone. Why? Because you don't need to illustrate things when you project and you offer love. And to this we have been called, Eleni and I, for the last 32 years in Athens. And we want to portray God's love to people because He is the only way to build every soul that has been torn down from the mistakes of the human culture. And this is how we work, by portraying not ourselves, but Jesus. Yes, we are called children of God, and we'll never outgrow this idea. We will always be children. Sometimes my wife says, you're 69, but you behave like a child. Yes, I behave like 6 or like 9. I don't take the whole thing. We have been around nationalities with different cultures. The Arabs, Ishmaelites, descendants of Ishmael and Hagar. We've been with refugees from the Ukraine, very different. the Bulgarians, the Afghans, a few Pakistanis. They behave in their own way, but when you start teaching them the word of truth, they all listen. Why? Because they have the same need to wipe their tears away, because they all have the same kind of tears and fears. Greece has always been in the center of 3 continents. You know, it's the end of Asia, the end of Africa, and the end of Europe. And they all come to Greece since we belong to the West, and NATO, and safety, and stability, and all these things, and that's where they come. But they don't want to stay. They want to go to the promised land of today, Germany. The best economy in Europe to this day. But when they come, they know, they have heard of Jesus in an abstract way, and they need to understand that Jesus is the way, Jesus is the truth, Jesus is the life to them, no matter where they go, Canada or Europe or anywhere. And that's where we start teaching by portraying God's love to them. And they understand it. During the first hour, the Bible class hour that we had the PowerPoint presentation, so did Eleni at the ladies' class. I was asked as to whether we had any conflict between the nationalities and the habits. Not one case. Why? God's culture, as we said, is the culture that unites. You leave behind all your egos, and I don't feel comfortable with this or with that. And you see your needs. Jesus answers all your needs, not your wants. Because when we come to our wants, we have to pay. We pay for 2 things in life, for our wants and our mistakes. But Jesus comes to correct this and says, no. You don't know. Listen, I am here for this and this and this reason. And we have been born and raised in the church, and we know this, but there are millions out there who don't know their right foot from their left foot. And you see that yes, we have been deprived of the truth in our countries, Allah, and there must be something else. Come tell me, please. That's where I come, and I can talk. And Eleni talks to them on Zoom for hours and hours and hours, and they don't want to quit. Today, I'm visiting you from another country, and I speak another culture in a way, but I'm among you, a family that's been born again, and I'm part of this family, and we all communicate in God's language. It's God's culture. And this is the culture that will live forever, because John takes me now through the Spirit into the book into the island of Patmos and the book of Revelation, and it says that I saw a multitude from every nation and tribe and language and people up there. So what it should be from the beginning that Satan destroyed will be restored up there. If you get ready for this language of love, for God is love, then you are prepared to share this, and others come and join. I have other sheep that are not part of this flock, but they all have to come. And it's you, and through you, we have been reaching out to souls untold through these years. and we are thankful. In the Gospel of John, chapter 18 and verse 37, Jesus replies to Pontius Pilate. He says, "You say that I am a king. In fact, the reason I was born and came into the world is to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me." The truth. Whose truth? What is truth? Truth is my right or your right, my benefit, my advantage. What is truth? The truth is simply one: how much God has loved us and has sent his Son for us today. It's the only way to share this good news. To some who seek more knowledge and history and Bible geography, and yes, we can share this and give this about where this brook is and where this river is, but they need the basics, God's love, and they cannot find it anywhere outside Jesus. They were standing before the throne and before the Lamb. They were wearing white robes and were holding palm branches in their hands. Revelation 7, verse 9. Oh, what a picture. I mean, can you get this video? We will all meet there. Ukrainians, Russians, Syrians, Japanese, everyone. And we will speak the same language of love, and we will worship the Lamb in the very same way. I don't know, dear friend, or brother, sister, or honored guest today, what makes you comfortable. I forgot thinking of myself as to what makes me comfortable. There are facts that fill my heart with joy untold all these years, these 32 years. As I had been evangelized by my wife back then when I met her, and when she said, "Have you met Jesus on a personal basis?" And I was ignoramus, and I said, "Yeah, Jesus died 20 centuries ago. How do you want me to know him?" And then he said, "You have to understand the inner man." I said, "Yeah, I take x-rays every 4 or 5 months, and I run medical tests, so I'm okay." "Do you know Jesus?" I said, "Yes, I am Greek Orthodox, of course. What do you think?" But little did I know. And she stood there in patience, sharing this love of Jesus. And now I have seen this love as an overflow, and together we are sharing it with others. We have been called, as Peter says in 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 9, we have been called out of the darkness and into his marvelous light. Where there is no light, there's no life. And where there's no life, there's no truth. Because you cannot distinguish that which is red from that which is green. Nothing shows. But we are children of God, and therefore children of the light. And the others want to know, how come you're so happy? And they come and they are immersed into Christ as they follow the gospel. And they have left behind dead children in the backyard of their house. The bomb fell in the backyard. 5 children, now 2 are gone. 3 are left. Grabbed them and came to Greece. What do you know? They said, "Yes, but we know Jesus." Julio and Beth saw this during the retreat this year, and many were immersed into Christ. And they were happy. And guess what they had? Nothing. Nothing. Many cities, Mariupol and Kharkiv and others, have been flattened. Not even a suitcase to take with. But God has you and us through you. And we are there. And we bring back smiles, smiles of Jesus. So if today you haven't decided to give your life to Jesus, I believe it's a great time for you to join this beautiful family we know for 32 years and come forward as we all stand and sing.